Okay, we're back. We're live. We told you we'd come back, and we came back. You know, this is ThinkTech Hawaii. I'm Jay Fidel. We're talking about Hawaii, the state of clean energy. Our flagship show on Wednesday, every Wednesday, about energy in Hawaii. And my co-host Ray Starling is over there in the wings. Hi, Ray. And he's gonna replace Rachel in a minute. And that person at the far end of the table is Rachel Fukumoto from Hawaii Energy. And she's going to talk in a minute. She's going to talk about her latest gizmo about energy efficiency.
Yep.
Okay. Next to her is Brian Kealoha from OpTerra, which is an energy consulting and analytical firm.
We do energy efficiency, renewable energy.
Okay. So far, we got 100% on energy efficiency right here at this table. And let's see who else. We got Dan Carlson from the Department of Education, State of Hawaii. It is an honor to have all you guys here, but when we have public officials like this, it's even more.
Happy to be here.
That's it?
I love to represent the Department of Education, particularly when
great.
it comes to our efforts along the sustainability front.
Thanks for coming down. You guys will forgive me, but we're going to go to Rachel first, ladies first, as it were, and efficiency first. This is what we call it a negawatt moment here in Hawaii, the state of clean energy. So what have you got this week, Rachel?
So really exciting. A couple weeks ago, I kind of touched a little bit on we're doing our online energy saving kits again. So we have a free kit and a $10 kit this year. So in the free kit, we're doing 3 of these wonderful LED light bulbs. And so they'll replace any 60-watt incandescent bulb that you have in your house. But yep, beautiful. And so, yep, it'll save you a ton of energy, and we're giving away 3 of these for free. And then in our $10 kit, we'll have 3 of these. They usually go in, recessed can lighting. They're a little bit larger. They're also an LED, but yep, also really beautiful. So
we could use those here in
yep.
the studio. I got my eye on them.
So also 3 of these, and we're throwing in a smart power strip too. So these are great because it has kind of a switch mechanism, and so you plug in, say, your TV, and in these switched green plugs right here, you'll have like your DVR, your DVD player. So once you turn off your TV, everything else shuts off.
Oh, that is smart.
Yep.
Okay.
So, yep, energy efficiency.
That's great. So for $10, I get, did you say 3 of those LEDs? 3 of the big ones?
3 of these and this for $10. And for free, 3 of these.
Do you take checks?
Free?
Wait a minute. Anybody got a $10 bill on?
So actually, we're starting them next week on November 24th. The way you can order these are through our website. Just go to hawaiienergy.com/kits, and we'll have everything there. Just sign up, and we'll send you your kit for free.
Okay.
We include shipping too.
So now I want to look at it from the other side, okay? Why are you doing this in order to incentivize, energy efficiency? How does it work in terms of the public mentality?
So, we do realize that LEDs are a little bit more expensive than CFLs, and, as much as we love CFL light bulbs, we do want to push LEDs. They're a lot more efficient too. And so, we're hoping that by giving these out for free, we're sure you'll love them. So, we're hoping that with this small step, you can, make other energy efficiency choices in your household.
You're going to try to get me hooked.
Exactly.
Okay, we have 2 young men over here who have some cross-examination for you, Rachel. Are you ready?
Oh, I think so.
All right, okay. She's tough. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, I'm wondering, do I get to take home the free kit since it's already here and to save you on shipping?
Well, unfortunately, these are the only bulbs I have right now. So.
All right, I'll go online.
Yep.
Okay,
I'd easily pay the $10. I just replaced a lot of those lights in our
It's a
house.
great
awesome.
bargain.
Yeah.
It's an incredible bargain.
Yep,
So that's great.
it's just these alone in the $10 kit. It's about a $53 value. So
It
for
is,
$10,
Yeah.
I believe it.
Yep.
So the free ones, how many free kits do I get if I keep on saying, give me a kit, give me a kit, give me a kit?
So unfortunately, we do have to limit just because we want to reach everybody out there. So you can get one free kit and one advanced kit.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Otherwise, you'd be taking advantage of the
Right.
system. Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to tell the folks?
That should be it for now. Just stay tuned on our website.
Okay. Thank you, Rachel. Thanks for coming
No
down.
problem.
We'll take a short break so Rachel can switch out with our co-host, Ray Starling, also from Energy Efficiency. So right now, you're going to see the screen go into a break. There it is.
Aloha, I'm Kirsten Baumgart-Turner, and I host Sustainable Hawaii every Tuesday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. My guests offer insights on challenging economic and environmental issues facing our state and offer innovative solutions to increasing Hawaii's long-term sustainability. Recently, we've been focusing on sustainable land development, food, and energy security. If you have a project or issue you'd like to discuss on the show or would like to be a guest, please contact me at kirstenbturner@gmail.com and tune in live weekly or view the show at your convenience at thinktechhawaii.com. Mahalo.
Aloha, my name is Jim Shawn, and I'm host of a show called Education Movers, Shakers, and Reformers. Each week, live streaming at noon on ThinkTech Hawaii, we interview people who have special insights into education from early education through K-12, all the way through higher education and beyond. Both public and private are areas we're interested in. We dig deeper. We try to find out what it's really like to be involved in making change, advocating for it, how you reform, what people's philosophies are in reforming it. As I said, we're live streaming every Wednesday at noon on ThinkTech Hawaii. And later on, you can find these interviews on YouTube and on the Hawaii Educational Policy Center website. We hope you join us as many times as possible. Aloha.
Okay, we're live. Here we are. We're back. We told you we'd come back. Okay, now you will notice that Rachel has morphed into Ray Starling. We do this with high tech, morphing
lost for us all.
technology. So let's get down to the substance of it, gentlemen. So Hawaii has issues in energy at the Department of Education. No surprise,
Definitely.
because there are issues about energy everywhere. So what are the issues at DOE?
Well, I would say a few years ago, the DOE's been at this for quite a while. We realized the need to try and partner with someone in the industry to really attack our sustainability front. Last year's electric bills, for example, for the Department of Education were on the order of around $48 million. And they were increasing quite drastically.
48 million.
48 million for the state.
48 million.
That's 256 schools on 7 islands. Again, it's a lot to provide energy for. But again, that's the gravity of the issue. Is we needed to try and figure out ways in which we one could be sustainable, but two, again, could be fiscally responsible. So through quite a long process, we partnered up with OpTerra. And we are in the process now of it's a 5-year strategic plan to go into all 256 schools. We first do an energy audit. We determine where we can hopefully conserve energy. From there, we determine kind of the loads and what each school's requirements are. And then we try and match that up with some kind of either PV or, again, some kind of energy generation to again, the idea obviously being to lower our bills ultimately, but also to do the right thing on sustainability. There's a number of different parts of this project too, which are very unique to this program in Hawaii, and I think probably one of the first ones in the nation to actually really pilot something like this. Along with this, again, we're not only doing that to conserve and to create, but we're also teaching the students the keiki as we're doing it. So there's an entire academic program.
Sure, because they pick it up, they see everything.
They love it.
Yeah.
I mean, and they really are embracing it. We've got quite a cadre of faculty now taught on kind of the curriculum program. But all that to say, we pair that up with a curriculum program where, as we go into these schools, the kids are dying to get the PV on their schools, and but we educate them on, again, the importance of what we're doing as far as being responsible citizens and doing the right thing from a conservation standpoint, but then we also give them tools to be able to monitor our loads and monitor how much PV we're actually inputting back into the system. And again, the feedback that we're getting overall is just phenomenal from the academic side.
We get feedback here too.
I think I just heard that.
Not exactly the same.
I just
same kind of
married that up,
feedback.
didn't I?
Oh, I could tell you about feedback. Okay, anyway, so it's just some questions about that.
Sure.
So, you know, it sounds like if you had $48 million of, you know, old-fashioned cost of energy, then logically they would have, there's so much money that logically they would have to be something that you could shave down somehow.
Oh yeah, and we're finding that. I mean, we're starting with the low-hanging fruit. We're trying to do some different things. Obviously, all part of that education piece too is a learning habit patterns. You know, and establishing those amongst the faculty and the students to get them to better understand how they can do that. From there, again, we've broken ground on quite a few projects now. It's exciting to see some of the stuff that's going up, and that where we're into that PV installation and PV generation. That was a long time coming. Again, working through all the issues with HECO and working through again a school by school, project by project. But the good thing is it's good to see that now. Along with that, we're looking at other areas in which we can conserve. So, for example, LED lighting, obviously, as we just saw.
You have to talk to Rachel.
Could potentially, I would love to have everybody in the schools apply to those, and we'll start installing them. But we've taken, along that front, we've taken 2 schools as kind of pilot projects to try and just see. We did a complete school retrofit and put LED lights into 2 schools to really, again, with OpTerra's help, analyze just how much we can save.
So you can have more than one, you know, project happening at a time.
Oh, yeah.
You can
And
run parallel tracks on
Right,
these.
and along with that, you know, there's the PV side, major construction on that. There's also, again, LED light installation. There's a number of different things that we're doing to try and, again, reduce our overall need.
So far, how far have you gotten? I mean, can we say that you knocked off, you know, what, 10 million yet?
No,
Dan?
not 10 million. And I won't make that promise either right away. But we certainly hope to be able to make some huge gains. And some of our goals, our initial first-year goal, again, we came very close to achieving that. Again, it's a 5-year program, and it's going to take us 5 years to get to all 256 schools. And as I've already alluded to, I mean, again, that initial startup and getting that process and, again, that engine moving, if you will, it just, again, took us a little while to establish. Now that we're in a rhythm, we've got the proper staffing, we're able to really start knocking out these different
You
projects.
said you had an audit done. Was that an OpTerra audit or someone else, or inside or outside, or who did the energy audit that you are using?
We're using OpTerra. So OpTerra
Okay,
is
so
the one that
OpTerra is already engaged on
Oh,
this.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then we should talk to you, Brian.
Yeah.
Sure.
What have you been doing?
Great question. So part of our, you know, we wanted to take a look and really the DOE should be commended, as Dan mentioned. We do a number of work with school districts across the country, and we haven't seen a school district that's been this progressive, looking at things so comprehensively. And really their goal by board policy is to achieve 90% renewable energy by 2040, which, you know, plays in well with the state renewable energy goals as well. So we're taking a holistic approach by looking at what are the things on the energy efficiency side we can bring down the usage, and then complement that with renewable energy.
So it's both of those things working
both
together.
those things working together.
Doesn't that confuse you?
Not at all.
I would get confused with it.
There's a lot smarter guys that are engineers in my office that have it all figured out.
He's got
It's
smart
like
people
walking
working
and
for him.
chewing gum, you know.
But I think, you know, one of the biggest challenges, as Dan mentioned, was just in the start, we knew that net energy metering changes were afoot. And so our focus really for the first year was to get as many net energy metering applications in to the utility before those changes happen. So we've gotten 78 approvals, and now we're in the process through the end of 2016 installing all of those PV systems that have been approved prior to the.
So, yeah, I think the aha for me on this is that you're just like anyone else. You have to go and get any NEM approval, or in the old days?
We are
before
just
the
like
end of
anyone else.
NEM?
I can attest to that.
And, you know, have to deal with all those bureaucratic things and process
Right.
things. And, you
And
know, it's
one-
not like you're, you know, exempt from any of that.
And actually, we're held to the same standards that every customer is.
Yeah.
And obviously, that's the PUC's job, is to make sure there's equity. But one of the things that I'll bring this up now, why not? But one of our bigger issues was we were limited at 100 kilowatts per meter that we had by HECO and by the PUC. And that 100 kilowatts in many of our schools is
It's only a fraction of
it's
the
a fraction
school.
of what we could really be, if we're going to get to this 90%. That again is an area that we're just not sure how we're going to get there. But we're held to the same standards as every other consumer out there.
Honestly, don't you think you ought to have special exemptions? These are archaic.
I do. I certainly
I
do.
do too, Jay.
Yeah, okay.
But
We're going to ask Ray the same question in a minute.
Well, you know, I think there's a lot that can be done. You guys are touching the key points now, but, you know, recently the utility commit, or the utility promoted some time of use rates, which for residences only, but eventually I think that will come to schools and other buildings.
I will add, they actually, they're putting in 2 requests, and we are getting kind of a special exemption for that on the time of use
And
rate.
it's in the middle of the day when the
Right.
sun's shining, which is when the kids are in school
Perfect,
mostly.
perfect, yeah.
Right.
You can save half off,
Right.
basically, of the electric usage, at least the rates that they've established for residences.
Right.
And that could be a big game changer.
Right. We anticipate with that, with the proposal that they've gone through, and you're exactly right. We're like the perfect customer, because we're using energy when everyone else is generating energy through their PV sources, but we're not using energy during those peak hours in the evening from
Right.
4 to 9 p.m., which is when, again, HECO's, and that's where the time of use rates, those rates are going to be substantially higher. So we can really take advantage of it as a school community. We're excited about it, but we're thinking around 9%. Again, if our
Wow.
if our load rates again just match up, that's about the savings, which I'm not complaining about. That's $5 million. So
Yeah.
again, I certainly won't complain about that. We're fully on board with HECO. We're very appreciative of the efforts that they've made, going to the PUC for this request. So
Yeah.
it's a great move. It's a great move for us, but it doesn't really, again, for us, it doesn't address we still need to reduce our energy footprint, and we're committed to doing that.
So Brian, tell us how much, you think we can reduce the $48 million, and how, and by when?
Sure, that's a great question. And
I could ask a much more compound, complex
No,
question.
those are hard questions right there.
And if you asked us going in, Jay, I think our answer would be different today and maybe different in a year. Unfortunately, I think one of the things that has happened from when the DOE first issued the RFP is obviously the landscape has changed. It was in an environment where the idea was that feed-in tariff would be a mechanism that could be used to essentially export energy. Because one of the key challenges is again that the DOE uses energy for essentially about 180-ish instructional days. The other days, their load isn't that high. So when you look at the PV or any type of renewable energy, what happens on those other days? And creating a system and a program that's going to work for the DOE will ultimately drive how much PV is installed, which I think ultimately will drive the savings. We can say that on energy efficiency projects, we're usually able to save anywhere between 10 to 20%, sometimes upwards of 30% of a current electric bill based on the upgrades that we have to do. So, I mean, there's great potential there on the energy efficiency side, and those are a little more clear. But, until some of the regulatory environment shakes out here a little bit on the solar side, we're not quite sure. We can tell you that through the 3 projects that are already been contracted or in construction, over the course of 20 years, we're going to save over $20 million on those projects.
Per annum?
No,
Oh, 3
over
years,
the 20
7,
years, over the
6,
20 years,
6,
about $1
okay.
million a year.
It just occurs to me, I hope you don't mind a little creative discussion here.
Sure.
It's okay.
Oh,
We
boy.
do. Yeah, we like this. Okay, so a school is a community thing.
Mhm.
it serves the community.
Right.
Sort of like community solar, kind of. And suppose, you look at the school as we have kids in there from Monday through Friday during, school hours, which are not actually the whole day. I mean, regrettably, as far as I'm concerned, they could stay late, it'd be okay, and I wouldn't mind. I like it, I think it'd be better. But, okay, so it's after the kids leave, the sun is still often shining, okay? And that solar is up there, working. And on the weekends, it's working, and there's not a lot of people there. And then in the summertime, it's going to be less load even still. And so you have a lot of overflow, from the installation, say, of PV.
Right.
And if you treat that as community solar, just the way the recent change in the law, then you could be serving the community outside the school, that just the same way the school serves the community outside the school. Why don't we do that? What do you think?
We're
We
fully on
have to
board.
do that. And I think you hit it spot on. I mean, unlike residential customers where they're producing a lot of energy during the day from their PV systems and not home to use it, it's the flip with the schools. They're actually using the energy during the day. And it's the weekends and the summer when the utility's actually in some of their peak times that the schools could really be a resource for the community. So options like community solar or other ways that we can integrate in, the DOE can actually be part of the solution rather than part of the problem.
Yeah, maybe get paid too.
Well, we have a lot of rooftops that, again, are available
yeah,
for,
sure.
which again is another issue as we try and get to this end state.
That's a big
is-
issue. That's an easy
Right.
place to put a lot of PV.
Right.
And so I hope that they will allow you to go exceed the 100 kW.
Yeah,
limit.
right, yeah. So is that all it requires, a change in the 100 kW?
No.
That would be one step.
That's a first step, I think.
That's one
Yeah, I
step.
mean, there's a lot of, obviously, engineering involved in maximizing that out, making sure that we're putting the right amount. Again, we don't necessarily want to max it all the way out. We want to make sure that's why we got the smart guys working at OpTerra to actually design that from an engineering standpoint. But it would certainly be a first step that would allow us to open up more and more opportunities, I think, to try and get near that net zero. One of the projects that we're working on right now is call it a microgrid, a net zero type of example. And we've taken Kaimuki Middle as kind of our first test case here on Oahu, and then we have a total of 6 spread out throughout the state on our neighboring islands. But we worked on an agreement with DBED, came to the table with $800,000 grant and aid money to partner up with HECO, and so that's a school where we're going to actually hopefully be, again, net zero. So
What do you mean microgrid? How does that work?
microgrid means if we were really brave, we would disconnect from HECO. I mean, we could be self-sustaining on our own. We're not going to do that in this case, actually, because the battery is going to be basically owned and operated by HECO. The idea being that we feed that battery during the day. We use the PV that we need to use for the school, but then we feed that battery during the day. A very large battery that could then, in the evening, as it's full, could then feed the grid when, again, that's their peak demand time.
Or
So-
the community, as
or
the
the
case may
community.
be.
Right.
Yeah.
Which again, I think is another great solution. There's kind of a secondary effect that this has too. Most of our schools are used as shelters in times of catastrophic, circumstances. Those circumstances may lead to a lack of power in a lot of areas. But if we had these kind of independent systems that would be again a source of power, again, it could be great for the state across the board.
Let's talk about batteries. I mean, to me, that sounds like a kind of an interesting question, because you are satisfying your own needs for the operation of the school, the children, during the sunlit day. You don't need it at night. And so the question is, how much battery can you justify in terms of building out this kind of system? If it was not limited to a school, if it was a public building, maybe it would be a different kind of analysis, I don't know. It seems to me that in a school you wouldn't need for your own purposes, you wouldn't need a big battery. But if you treat it as community solar, if you treat it as feeding the grid, as a special sort of public facility to feed the grid, which really appeals to me,
Right.
then you would want a big battery, and you'd be feeding the grid all the time, and it'd be great. But does that fit in your
Absolutely.
analysis,
No,
Brian?
you're spot on, Jay. Because there's a couple of ways to look at this. One, if you look at it just for the needs of the school, you're more factoring the battery usage for, again, those days that there isn't, the schools aren't in session, right? And some of the overage that happens on a given day. But if you look at it from a community standpoint, and you have 256 schools across every community in our state, there's real potential there to help stabilize the grid, provide real benefits to the utility grid, and hopefully foster increased renewable energy across the state. So, you know, there's some real synergies that can be had through the use of energy storage that go beyond just the benefit to the DOE. Again, the community renewable impact, and then as Dan mentioned, the ability to have energy resiliency at some of these key civil defense sites is critical.
Right, yeah. So the possibilities are enormous. You are a bastion of the infrastructure of the state with your 256 schools.
We're spread out into every community in the state.
Yeah.
So.
And by definition, it's interesting, by definition, you are, you're located in the place where the population is located. Because the kids and the schools, it all kind of works together, you know. So, who's going to pay for this?
It's a great question, and it's part of the beauty of this program is it's being paid for. We're not, as a DOE, paying anything outright. We're entering PPA agreements. So each of these projects then comes with and we've had to do it by phases. You know, you've got our first project of 9 schools where we put up covered parking. We maxed it out at 100 kilowatt on each one of those. But we then come to the table. That's why we're using OpTerra. They do all of the negotiating and everything for us. They approach us with
on the PPAs.
Right. They approach us with PPA numbers that again we elect, and we've been very conservative in our PPA numbers. We've actually had some of the best PPA results even on this program across the state from other state entities that have entered PPAs. So our rates are incredible, and we've also negotiated a 1% escalation fee on those PPA rates. So what does that mean? That means we're maybe paying 19 cents right now a kilowatt, and 20 years from now we'll only be paying 24 cents, and we're guaranteed that gives us some stability, that gives us some predictability from a budgeting perspective.
Yeah.
So it's a obviously, it's a finance option, but it's a great finance option for us to take advantage of.
This is interesting. You know, it reminds me of property management. In the old days, if a board of directors of a condo wanted to do something, they just go out and do it, and they'd make all kinds of mistakes because they weren't expert. And now they have consultants who help them do the contracting and refine the numbers and make sure they're getting what they need and all that. It's changed, and the better result for the condo. This is the same kind of thing. You interpose somebody like OpTerra, and then you let them do the PPA, and the DOE is probably going to come out better, and OpTerra can develop, increasingly develop this kind of expertise and follow the market right down to every day, every hour, so you know exactly what's happening. And that's why we like to be very mindful of time here on Think. Just about halfway past the hour, we like to take a short break, as Ray knows. So we're going to do that because we're watching the time. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Ethan Allen. I host Likeable Science on ThinkTech Hawaii. And I do this because I care about science literacy in Hawaii. I want to spread the understanding that science is a vital and interesting part of everyone's life. I want to make sure the broadest possible spectrum of people understand the beauty and the value of science and realize that science plays out each and every day of their lives. I want you to understand that science is fun. So we bring onto this show each week guests who are scientists, from astronomers to zoologists, and we talk about what they do and how they do it. But most importantly, we talk about why you should care about their work, why you should see that their work has value and impact on your life. So I hope you'll join us Fridays, 1 p.m. here on ThinkTech Hawaii. You can watch us via live stream. You can watch us recorded on Olelo, and you can see us each week. We hope you'll join us. Okay, we're back. We're live. We spent a minute very nicely
We had a good time. We rearranged ourselves a little bit, conceptually, physically, all that. So let's come back to the point for a moment anyway, about what kind of expertise you want in OpTerra and what kind of expertise OpTerra is developing, on an ongoing basis.
Sure. You want to start with what you want, and I'll tell you that.
I think we've demonstrated what we want. We want it now.
Yeah. Well, from a DOE perspective, I think the reason why we were selected is a number of reasons. One, we've done work with school districts across the U.S., over 100 school districts to be exact, and a lot of what we do is looking for things and trends that affect schools in particular, understanding what their usage profile
Are you a national
looks
company?
like.
Yes.
We are.
So you're doing this in other places too?
We are, correct.
And DOE knew that?
Yes.
Dan knew that when he first talked to you?
I don't know if Dan did. Dan wasn't part of the DOE at the time of the RFP.
I'm just the recipient of this, which is
But
great.
it was one of the decision criteria that
Yeah,
was
sure.
part of why we were selected. And so we're technology agnostic, which is really important as we look for solutions that will benefit the DOE. We're not pushing a certain technology or a certain application of a technology. We're really looking out for the best interests of our clients. And then having that forward-looking and understanding policy and where regulations are going, and hopefully carving out some new and innovative solutions. Coupled with, the DOE has so much on their plate, particularly in Dan's division, to just keep the schools running and operating on a daily basis. So to have somebody coming in with the expertise to bundle the financing, to put together all the project construction components of this, I believe that's what the DOE was looking for.
We so needed it. Let me just add a few things as far as, so the whole process in procuring, again, it was all competitive, was even contested, and it came back obviously with OpTerra. Again, couldn't be happier with that. But I'll just also reiterate from OpTerra's perspective, they're not the maker of anything. They don't provide the installation of anything. That's where, again, they're agnostic to any of that. They have nothing to gain from any of those different areas. So some of those are some of the questions we often get asked as far as just this relationship. There truly are experts that are helping us orchestrate our sustainability program.
So what's the special sauce? What do you bring to the table that Ray couldn't bring, or me, or Ray and me together?
Well, I think that's
R&J Corporation.
I think that's one of the our styles, at least from a business perspective, is we like to be collaborative. We work pretty closely with Ray and Hawaii Energy to craft solutions specific for the schools and with other people in the community. So I think being collaborative and realizing that we don't have all the answers, but if we can work together, because this is our statewide school system. I mean, so many people are either employed by the DOE or have kids that go there or have graduated from the school system. So it's really a community effort in this. And the outreach, one of the things that we're doing as part of the auditing work is we're working with Kupu, which is a nonprofit here in Hawaii, and they also partner a lot with Hawaii Energy to give students opportunities to learn side by side with some of our engineers how to do this. So it's some real career tech development, so they can see what goes into the green industry, because there's so many jobs, not just construction related, but we've talked about project finance, project management, marketing. This is a growing industry, and in particular in Hawaii has one of the highest green job growths in the country. So anything we can do to help the students really integrate in what they're seeing outside their classroom into things that are applicable in the real world is rewarding for us.
I think that would be very rewarding. I think kids are so curious, and if you started, for example, building something on the roof of the school, they'd be out there in the schoolyard watching everything you did.
They get very excited. Like I said, we have schools just basically pleading with us to get involved, to get out there, and we're getting to them. But like I said, there's 256 of them, so it's just going to take us a little time.
We need to talk to you on a regular basis then and find out how it's going.
Let's do it. Okay.
So the question is, you're going to go out and sort of set up these PPAs, and you're going to talk to people who, build, finance, all that stuff. And what kind of financing arrangement? Since the DOE is not going to write its own check on this, it's going to be financed. What kind of financing arrangement are you contemplating?
Sure. So we're looking at a number of different scenarios. For renewable energy, particularly because of there's tax credits, the power purchase agreement, the PPAs tend to be the most attractive. But for other things such as energy efficiency, pieces that we're looking at, tax exempt lease purchase, where we can really leverage the state's excellent credit, to bring really low interest rates to the DOE. Again, with all of the savings covering any of the payments there, that's a mechanism we're looking at. But as we get into some of those more creative solutions that we're talking about, when we talk about energy storage in particular, I think there's a number of different models of ownership of batteries that could be interesting, as well as the different values that could be had for utility, for the state, and others. So that really the DOE doesn't have to burden all of the costs in those situations.
But it's coming to me. If this 256 schools, you know, you do it in sort of serial fashion, mostly serial fashion, and take a batch here and then a batch there and a batch there. Your analysis and your recommendations, your deliverable intellectual property, if you will, is going to change with the change in technology. So batch 1 and batch 2 may not be treated the same way, am I right?
That's correct. That's correct. We try to.
And you're
look
ready for
ways.
that, Dan. You can handle that.
Definitely, and again, with the PPAs, it comes, again, the maintenance. I don't have in-house internal people that can maintain these systems, so because they're owned by a third party and we're leasing them, again, it just gives us the insurance, if you will, of that these systems are going to last for at least the 20-year, again, agreement that we come to. And I think that's a big piece for us. I mean, for us to try and maintain all of these different systems and what they're putting in, but through the PPA, we obviously can rely on them. And again, we're invested in the technology, but it's really the financer that has, again, carrying kind of the potential liability, if you will, of a system that maybe doesn't work what it's supposed to.
Are you thinking of technology other than PV? What about some wind?
Absolutely.
What about that?
So I think we really touched on the things that are most prevalent in terms of this first year of the project. It's really looking at small-scale wind turbines on the energy efficiency side. We talked about LED lighting because when you look at schools, about half of their load, if they don't have air conditioning now, is lighting. So focusing on lighting first, but we're looking at things such as motor upgrades, particularly within a lot of refrigeration units that the schools have. We saw the plug loads earlier, and a number of schools have different plug loads that are draining usage at different times of the evening, maybe when people aren't there. So it's really a wide variety of technologies. We're examining everything that uses a kilowatt hour and trying to find what the most cost-effective solutions are. And in some cases, they may not be physical upgrades. In some cases, they very well may be education programs, getting, again, the students involved to be energy police and involved with the school that, okay, it's winter break. Have we pulled off the plug to the refrigerator, in the classroom for 2 weeks? And
I hope you pay them for this.
no, this is what you call knowledge.
They're doing it. They're doing it.
And they love it too. And I think that's the fun part, when you see how excited the kids are to go home and tell their parents about what they're learning and yell at their parents about what they should be doing.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. Well, so you're ultimately going to go back to your board and say, look what I did for you guys.
Oh, they're asking, and it's a requirement.
You've already
yes.
had this
yes.
conversation.
Many times. But no, they keep a close eye on us, as they should. And again, it got a little slower start, and that was just primarily because the goalpost changed a few times on us as far as where we needed to focus our priorities. But now that we're up and running, and we're taking the program further and further, one of the more recent issues, obviously, here in Hawaii is the heat. And my office happens to be responsible for not only utility bills, but all the facilities. So
Air conditioning.
Air conditioning. So you add a bunch of air conditioners to schools, and what do? We just do nothing but we increase our electric load. In August this last year, for example, we compared our August 2014 bill to our August 2015 bill, and we actually used 13% more electricity this August due to the heat and the addition that we put on our grid to help out. And we acknowledged that it was way too hot in our classrooms, so we did some things with some not very efficient systems, for example, portable AC units, but we had to, again, go forward.
It was
and do
impossible,
that.
yeah.
So, again, OpTerra stepped up in this situation as well and said, hey, let us try and help you out. Let us figure out ways in which we can maybe, in our program, even help you add AC, but we're going to look at trying to add AC with, again, zero additional footprint as far as utilities.
It strikes me that you're on a sort of a Carta Blanca canvas with a lot of interesting issues and a certain amount of control, because you are DOE. And if you decide to do something for 256 schools, it will and can be
Will.
done. So you learn from that, and then Ray hears about it, and Ray learns from that, and before you know it, it's one of those. It's before you know it, Rachel is in here telling us about it.
She will, I'm sure.
So Ray, what is the the interchange, the interaction that we're talking about, where ultimately what these guys learn in their adventures gets to be known by everybody, used by the utility, for example.
Right, right. Well, I think this is one place where the schools really have it all. It's you've got the place to put the PV. You've got control over a lot of properties. You've got the need to supply additional load that if you put in air conditioning and so forth. You've got the batteries that are coming out now. You've got all kinds of things floating around there that we need to pull together, and I think you guys are doing a great job. I mean, we've sat with you several occasions. We've had meetings with our technical staff, and I think it's going there. It's never been done before. What we're doing here in Hawaii is pretty unique, and a lot of people are watching. How's it going to work? And I think the future looks good. I want to remind everybody, though, the first thing we need to do is go after all the efficiency and conservation we can, because when you do that, if you do that first, everything else becomes easier, faster, cheaper, cleaner, you name it, it's a good thing. So get the waste out there, out of the picture, and then you can start at a lower level and not have to go quite as high as you would have otherwise. So I think the future looks good. It's going to be, these guys, we should have them back on periodically and let us know how it's going, because they're charting new ground now, and to watch it and see how it gets to the end of the road is really going to be interesting. So.
Yeah, it's a problem-solving technique we are learning about. You identify this problem, you call on the expert goes out to his experts, and collectively, and Ray, and collectively we find the best solution to a problem that exists across 256 schools. Right. The other thing that strikes me, and it's only because I noticed an article in PBN not 2 hours ago, about the Honolulu Seawater Air Conditioning Project for 11, which is really all of the state office buildings in the downtown area. They have an RFP out, and the returns are coming in soon, and they're going to make a decision soon, and they're going to do seawater air conditioning in a number of these buildings, which is actually going to cross critical mass, so they can actually establish a system downtown to cover, non-state office buildings also. And so what I get out of this is that just as DOE is inventing new problem-solving systems, so the state of Hawaii is inventing new problem-solving systems. Maybe we are entering into a time when we can think more clearly, as large institutions, where we can, find ways, methods of solving problems with, a lot of people, a lot of money, a lot of issues, and that means we're ahead of the game that way.
Jay might add to that if I could. Along that front, we 2 years ago we took a donation of a PV AC system. So PV panels on the roof. This system is a hybrid system, so it does plug into the grid, but it draws a minimum amount of electricity. The idea being the primary source of electricity for the AC unit is all PV. Portable system, easy to put onto. In particular, we used a portable as kind of a test case. Since that time, we've had a number of other donators come to us, and we've installed these different systems. We had an incredible student group come to us just this past year called Fahrenheit 73. They're crowdsources. They crowdfunded basically this PVAC system, donated it to Campbell High School, one of our hottest high schools. Again, that system is up and running. So that's a technology that, again, is fairly new. It's on the forefront of technology. Obviously, we would like to have a little more proof of concept, if you will, and industry standards would tell us we probably want more like 10 years, but it's an area that in some of our schools that are very limited by the electrical infrastructure. So we would have to go in and do a electrical upgrade to a school in order to provide the AC that we're trying to get into the school. In some of those schools, that PVAC may be a great alternative for us to be able to go in and add very little to the grid, the electrical grid, but be able
like
to provide
self-contained,
the AC.
yeah.
Right. So
Anything else? We're going to close now.
I was just going to say, I think building onto that, as he mentioned earlier too, from the air conditioning standpoint, is by maximizing a lot of the energy efficiency items, as Ray mentioned, we're finding that a lot of these schools may be able to minimize that investment in having to improve the electrical infrastructure, which is one of the big barriers to moving forward with the schools where the AC is going in. We remove one of those cost barriers just by being efficient. So you're saving money on energy and you're saving capital costs as well.
Yep.
Ray, efficiency, so important in all of this. Ray's been doing
Do
a
it
great
first.
job on efficiency. And we want him to continue to do a great job on efficiency in the years to come.
Hawaii Energy's been a great partner for the
Definitely.
DOE throughout this whole process by understanding some of the challenges the DOE has here and really coming up with some creative solutions.
It's a great show. And I thought we were
Thank
just
you.
going to talk about schoolrooms. It's much more than that.
It is all about the classrooms, but yes.
Thank you, Dan
Great. Well,
Carlson.
thank you.
Thank you, Brian Kealoha. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you, Jay.